the Dallas Cowboys team, the Star, they want to make it a success. And those guys have worked just as hard as we've worked. And they're proud. You know, Gary and Jim came up to me and said, oh, we can't wait, oh. And they will walk around on Saturday night and go, fuck, we're back, baby. And I can't wait.
Can you elaborate about Shakur Stevenson? He said that the number of negotiations with Zepeda were a little low.
Excuse me. We had a deal with His Excellency to have one fight and then fight Zepeda. Now that fight was supposed to take place in Saudi. Now the fight was potentially taking place in New York, and the numbers changed. You know, it's not a fight in Saudi. So they came back with proposed numbers which were different to the original proposed numbers. And Shakur let his feelings know, you know, and now negotiations have begun. The WBC have made the order for those negotiations between Shakur and Zepeda. We're talking with Eric Gomez, we're talking with Oscar de la Hoya about doing that fight together, potentially even doing a Matchroom v Golden Boy 5v5, I think would be huge. And The Zone, which are our mutual broadcaster as well, and it's a brilliant fight. Like Shakur needs that kind of fight before he fights Tank, because that's the fight. If he fights Zepeda, the only fight left for Shakur is Tank. And that's a fight that we should make at the end of 2025.
Speaking of massive events, we have Conor Benn versus Eubank coming really soon. Can you just talk about
65,000 people at Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, you have to think about their fathers. It was the biggest, deepest rivalry in the history of British boxing, right? And now their sons, who are both world ranked in the top 15, Conor in the top 5 in most, are fighting each other. The sons, right? And like they are ready to fight each other now here, and like the build-up's been huge. It's a massive event. It's going to do huge pay-per-view numbers. And what is it? Two weeks away on Saturday. Unbelievable how quick it's come around.
And Turkey said that a possibility that Canelo might fight the winner. How true is that?
Yeah, for Conor, look, Conor middleweight is a big jump, right? In fact, the only reason this fight is a 50-50 is because of the weight. For me, Conor's younger, fresher, better puncher, you know, better technician, more skill, better footwork. But he's at a big weight disadvantage. So to move to 168 against a big, strong 168 pounder, it's a big jump. But listen, we'll see how he gets on at 160. And first things first, let's beat Eubank on April 26th.
If he is successful, is he going to move back to 47?
I think so. You know, it's very difficult to move back. You know, I remember when Kell Brook fought Golovkin and then wanted to defend against Errol Spence. It was brutal for him to get back down at 47. So we'll see. I mean, I always felt that 54 would be a place that Conor ends up. But, you know, I believe he can beat Barrios, you know, and those kind of fighters. So we want to win a world title, but we've got to make the big step up first, April 26th.
Eddie, you mentioned something a second ago, 5v5 versus Golden Boy. And speaking about Golden Boy, I had to get your thoughts. Did you see Oscar's most recent version of his clapback?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on, you know,
I mean, look, I don't know. Are we friends now? I don't know. Like, when I'm friends with him and I'm watching it, I find it's quite funny. And then when he's, you know, when you're on the receiving end, it's like, you know, and I don't know. Look, Oscar is always going to speak his mind, you know, and I think that, I think by doing that, I think he's got another one as well, isn't he?
This the podcast with Holly.
Yeah.
I forget the name, but yeah, it's new.
What the fuck? Is it
something along those lines?
I actually really like that. Like, I was watching it. That's a really good segment about his fights and stories from the fights that he was involved with. I think that sometimes, although we've had our differences over the years, one thing he will always be is one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. So I think sometimes we forget that he fought Mayweather and, you know, he fought all these incredible fights. And when you're listening to the stories are, you know, from the horse's mouth. And I think that when you talk about content, like, you've got to keep innovating and you've got to keep doing different kind of stuff. Now, whether that's clapback or what the fuck or whatever it is, at least he's doing it, something. Like, some promoters are just so fucking lazy and they're not just doing anything. They rock up every now and again. You know, I mean, I think his profile as a promoter is grown off the back of that content, and so it should. And we've found a way through His Excellency to kind of get our heads together. And I think the future for Matchroom and Golden Boy working together on DAZN is really exciting. Like, I think we're in a place now where we can have regular conversations. I think despite our differences over the years, one thing we both have is an incredible passion for boxing. We love boxing and we want to make great fights. And right now, I see the opportunity between Matchroom and Golden Boy to make great fights. I think, if it was the relationship that was in the past, we'd never make Stevenson against Zepeda. But now we're saying not just Stevenson against Zepeda, what can we make on the undercard? And yeah, look, for now, it's enjoyable, and I hope that it can continue because I want to enjoy it. Like as I found with Frank Warren, it's like sometimes it's draining. And you'll never quit because we'll fight to the end. But like, it can be a lot more enjoyable, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I'm enjoying a relationship with Frank Warren. I'm enjoying a relationship with Golden Boy, and hopefully it can bring the big fights together.
Just one follow-up question on the topic. Do you think there's any issue in what Oscar's saying about TKO based on the fact that he has a relationship with Turkey and that's another business of Turkey's? Or do you think Turkey interprets it as just like content, whatever?
What's the question?
So he's talking about TKO disparagingly, and that's a Turkey business. So the question is, do you think it can impact Oscar, or if it's wise, or just your thoughts?
His mind. You're never gonna control Oscar in that respect. He's gonna speak his mind. Obviously, he has his differences with Dana White. TKO, look, I think TKO's good for boxing because you know what? Probably giving me a kick up the arse. Probably giving Oscar a kick up the arse. Warren a kick. Go fuck right, yeah. Okay, you want to come into our space? Let's go, motherfucker. But that's the reality. You've got to understand what we are like. I mean, he's a former fighter, so he's a competitor. But people like me and Warren, we're fucking winners, mate. Mm-hmm. We don't let anyone come in and take liberties and think they can come in and start coming into our space without a fight. It's not like that because I have a great relationship with Dana. We've got a relationship with Turkey, and hopefully we can work together. But what I'm saying is, if the aim is to drive out the likes of me and Warren and Oscar, fucking bring a fucking army, right? And bring 24/7 artillery. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I know to make it in this sport, you've got to put up with so much fucking shit, right? Every single day. And it's tiring and it's draining. And if you ain't up for the fight, you ain't gonna, and it's not, you can never be in control in this industry because the industry's out of control. And TKO, or, the UFC or Endeavor, whatever you want to call it, is a business based out of control, right? They control the talent, everyone's in order, everyone knows what they've got to do. I don't want to say do as you're told, but look, there is an element of that. Mate, in boxing, you couldn't be further away from that ever happening. When you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, nothing is ever the same. And the minute you think you can control that space and what you're doing is the minute you make the biggest mistake, because it ain't ever going to happen. But I will say, Dana White in boxing is great for boxing. Great for boxing. More attention, more eyeballs. And ask yourself why. Why is that company looking to get involved in boxing? Because it's red fucking hot. At the moment, boxing much bigger than MMA, much bigger than UFC. The big fights continue to happen. The digital conversations and narrative are on another level. The ecosystem of boxing. We're seeing, ticket sales this Saturday. Tottenham in a couple of weeks, 65,000. Do you know what I mean? Boxing is red hot, and we're all up for the fight.
Thank you, Eddie.
Eddie, one question from